All right, so last week on Tuesday, I got a call from someone who just lost their job. And they have tried everything that they can in order to make money from selling their socks, their underwear, their time, applying relentlessly at hundreds of jobs. This person has a goal of applying to 50 jobs every single day. And even with this immense effort, she still hasn't had one single job interview. And what I'm seeing as a recurring theme with a lot of these Gen Z people, she's also in the last year being Gen Z, I believe she's 28. And so she's bounced from one minimum wage job her entire life, from working in a shoe store to working at Kroger's to working in a small clinic to working in three different call centers in a row. So even though she has a college degree, there her career is never going to take off. And yesterday, while I was talking to this person, she's just like, "You have to stay positive for me, millennial Steve." And I'm like, I'm not the source of positivity. I know what's out there. I've been hiring people at your age bracket. She has no parents to help. She doesn't have a good social network. Among her own friends, she's considered to be the person that has the most stable financial resources. And now she doesn't have a job. And so I look for a job for her within my corporation. We've been ejecting people like crazy. This past week, I've never seen mass terminations like this. And they're not calling it a layoff because they're not laying people off, they're firing people. And when you fire this many people at a time, it creates an illusion that the company isn't doing well. But that's not the reality of it. It keeps growing and growing and growing and just shedding the people that won't work for free. We've come to be we've come to a society where overwork is expected for you to do it with no compensation. They expect you to work long, long hours, weekends, nights, and you're not going to get paid. Because, as my own boss has told me, if you can't get your work done within the 40-hour work week, it's your fault. It's your problem. It's your being lazy. And I've been told that right to my face. This is a 40-hour work week job. Get the 40-hour work week job done, or else use your own time in order to be able to get it done. And when you have expectations like that across the board, of course, you're going to have heads of departments that are going to quit, or you're going to fire them because they're claiming too much overtime. I believe that's what happened to one of the financial people. Is that I'm going to say about 14 days ago, she got fired or quit something. She left the company abruptly with one letter. And yesterday I was going through my email, and the corporate Evil Corp has had to hire her back at the same wage that she was making before, but part time, because no one will apply to that job that should be paid twice as much. Evil Corp knows who they're looking for when they're doing their hiring. They don't want that overqualified senior level employee with all these credentials. They want someone that can do the job for half the price. And that's why you're going to stay entry level for the rest of your life, because they don't want to pay for senior level workers. And as Gen Z comes into the marketplace and gets kicked out right away, it's because they see the abuse, they see all the markings on the wall, and they're like, nope, I don't want to be a part of this. But guess what? There's only one job market. And either you're part of it or you're sleeping on the couch and you're one of those men that's decided to exit working because you see no point to it. There is no benefit to you whatsoever. So you spend all your days sleeping and playing video games, mostly sleeping. All right, with that said, let's get into our 4 talking points. Today, we are going to be talking about the disconnect between corporate promises and reality. Work life balance is a myth, wage stagnation and the cost of survival, rejecting traditional career paths. All right, let's get right into our first one. Entry level jobs are sold as stepping stones to success, but often offer little pay, limited growth, and opportunity and repetitive tasks that lead nowhere. This is what my Gen Zs have learned every time I've hired one. They are $15 to $20 an hour workers. Their jobs are extremely repetitive to the point where they get tired of doing the work. In fact, I catch them just zoning out because of how repetitive the task is. You move one box to this corner and then from this corner back to that corner, and you do it 8 hours a day. It's not leading anywhere. Limited growth opportunities, or limited should be no growth opportunities. In fact, when Gen Z asked me if he could transfer to another department with his skill set the other day, I couldn't laugh, but I had to politely tell him that that's not possible. With your limited office skills, limited communication skills, and limited computer skills, there's nothing else you can do than pack boxes. And this is something that Gen Z really dislikes about the workplace, is that entry level jobs are sold as stones to success, but they're not. That's the problem, is entry level jobs are just dead end, low pay, no growth jobs. And it's hard for them to come to the understanding that it is not going to get any better. When you're stuck in entry level, like this person that I mentioned earlier who got fired last week, entry level is where they're going to stay. She doesn't understand why she can't make more money. And I just look at her and I think to myself, what can you really do? You get stressed easily. You're verbally outspoken with your stress. So if you're experiencing burnout at work, you're not supposed to talk about it. You're supposed to internalize it like I do. I call them stress work cramps, and I get them all day long. The more I get pulled and pulled and pulled all day by different departments, by different managers. People ask me this question all the time. Well, how many people can tell you what to do? Any executive, any manager, any person above me, any person making any type of request. Everyone at the corporation is my boss, and I have over 25 different offices that I manage by myself. And so at any given moment, any one of those people that manages those offices can say, Millennials team, I need this, or I need that. Can you fix this? Can you buy that? Can you order more of this? Can you ship back this? All day, every day. And it's not just limited to people having to do with my immediate area. When it comes to logistics for the entire corporation, there's only one name, my name. And when you have that kind of pressure on you, it's hard to have sympathy for a person whose only job is to be there and kind of just be semi awake, right? You just look at them and you're just kind of like, just, put the fries in the bag, little bro. That's it. That's all your job is all day long. You take the order at the drive-through window. They tell you the same thing. What's a fast food job like? You take the order, you try to get it right to the best of your ability. Sometimes you're going to have people who show up and don't have the best speaking voice, or they're going to have a very thick accent. Or like me, you show up and I don't even want to read the menu. I'm one of those people who shows up and I point at the thing that I want, like a child. When I look at the menu, I just say, I want that. And they look at you, really? Like, there's one time, the first time that I met Charlotte at Starbucks, um, I walked up to the counter, and again, this is my first time meeting her. I walked up to her, and it's like purple, big. And she's just like, well, that's weird. You're ordering like a little child. I'm like, just do it. We don't have, we know that the person behind the counter It could be me, it could be you, but it happened to be Charlotte. And she's like, I like it, you know. I like the way that you're weird, millennial Steve. And then she says to me, my grandma tells me all the time that she can't take me anywhere because I embarrass her. And I thought, you know what? She's 25 and she's still hanging out with her grandma. That means that her parents aren't part of the equation, because that usually points to the fact that your grandparents raised you, which isn't a bad thing. It just goes to show why she's 25 and she's working at Starbucks and still going to school online. Anyhow, I hope wherever she is right now, I hope, God, I hope she's doing well, because she's one of those people who decided that she didn't need a job, so she just fired herself at work. And she said, when I asked her what she was going to do, she's like, I'm just going to go to another entry level job, where she's been working since she was 16. She's never been able to get out of retail or restaurant. And despite how supermodel gorgeous she is, that's not playing into the equation for her, which is, again, she's entry level and she's hot. Who knows where she is now? Probably dancing. All right, moving on to talking point number two. Corporate America expects young workers to be available around the clock, blurring the line between work and personal life, which Gen Z finds unacceptable. Gen Z finds a lot of things unacceptable. No vacations, no travel, no time off, no benefits, uh, no flexibility with their schedule, a lack of empathy for their mental health, and I would even say that being made fun of in the workplace. This is actually something my own Gen Z told me about his last job, where the other people at his job would make fun of him. And he's a person that does have visible mental handicap problems. And the more that I look at him, the more I see those problems even in myself. Because I've never had someone like this. I've never had anyone work for me that had these types of mental problems. Difficulty with a lot of things that should be normal. The only thing that I have different, that I have going for me, is that I have more personality. He's, as my other coworker called him, he's the geek without the tech. And so, therefore, he's every embodiment of every nerdy stereotype that you've ever heard, but he's not technically savvy. And that's what my other coworker keeps pointing out. It's like, what happened to this guy? Why is he like this? And I'm like, obviously he has problems. His family understands. The world needs to understand. But when he shows up to an all male, all men in a particular job, he's going to be pointed out. In fact, my friend Oliver, who lives in the UK, was attacked by thugs in his own home for no apparent reason other than he's different. And that's what these people face in reality, is that my Gen Z was being attacked by other workers for being different. And some people can't understand all the quirky things that are going on with him. I do, because they embody a lot of the same pain and suffering, and the lack of people having empathy on a person who's really trying. And that's the point. Is, again, I'm going to bring up immense effort in the workplace, but this is all you can do. The immense effort by a person like this, who has obvious problems. In fact, I was talking to one of the school teachers at the gym yesterday morning. She did mention one of the people that's worked at Kroger's from before I even worked at there. And she mentioned him as being one of the people who, I think he has Down syndrome, but that's always trying to help in the workplace. His immense effort looks very different than my Gen Z, than mine, than yours. So when you look and you try to measure immense effort in the workplace, it doesn't look the same for people. And because my immense effort hasn't broken through, I'm not rich, and I don't expect to ever be rich. And if you think that working hard and putting forth immense effort in all of these different areas is going to change the outcome of your life, there's one thing that changes the outcome of your life, and it's called luck. And that's why people still go to the casino. It's the reason why people still buy lottery tickets, and why, in general, the proletariat hasn't been beaten down to a pulp where they have no more hope. They look around, they see people who have things, and that inspires them to have hope. This channel here is designed to make you stop daydreaming. It's the hope has been taken away a long time ago. And replacing immense effort with luck is the only way that I can figure it out. Because based solely on luck, you may walk across the street, bump into a very wealthy woman that for some reason doesn't think you're ugly. For some reason, she feels the need to take care of you. At that point, the prole man, all he has to do is be standing at the ready. But I'll tell you this, that relationship with that person goes sour, you're going to be back on the street very quickly. Or if they figure it out that you're not physically attracted to them, you're also going to be out on the street. Sometimes you can pretend. I mean, I've done a lot of things for money that I'm not proud of, people. A lot. A lot of things that I will never talk about on this channel. And I am ashamed of, and that's why I'm not going to mention them. But we're coming back to this immense effort. Like, I put immense effort into my physical appearance. I put immense effort into my physical fitness. I say I put moderate effort into my job. Sorry, guys. It cracks me up sometimes when I'm doing these things because remember, guys, I'm not being serious. I'm playing a character on YouTube. I do this for money. This is a dystopian entertainment channel. If I ever seem like I'm being too serious, just sit back in your chair and think, you know what? Millennial Steam is actually butt naked right now while he's recording this. Yes, he is. I'm looking down at what God gave me, and I'm looking up at the sky right now, and I'm frowning. I'll tell you that much. Not acceptable. But that's what you got. That's what the proletariat says about their jobs, their life situation, their Susie Rottencrotch. They look down between their legs. I'm like, is it gonna grow? Do I need to water it or something? I mean, this doesn't seem like the most manly parts. Anyhow, let's move on to our next talking point before we run out of time. A single entry-level job is no longer sufficient to cover basic living expenses, forcing young workers to take on multiple side hustles just to make ends meet. This is going to come back to the video that I was making yesterday. The job, the $15 to $20 job, the $15 to $20 full-time job is now considered a supplementary income. This means that sure, you can take that job working at Kroger's, working full-time, but you better have a regular $30 to $50 full-time job, or better yet, you better be paired up with someone that's making that extra income, because your $15 to $20 job is considered part-time regardless of how many hours you do it. It's not designed to put food on the table. It's not designed to pay rent. And then you wonder, if the $15 to $20 job isn't real, according to what I was reading yesterday, because it's not sufficient to provide for human life, why make these jobs? Because any analyst out there, any person that has some sort of economic background will tell you those jobs are designed for people who don't need money. A phrase that I've heard throughout my entire life when I've been taking jobs at the bottom. This is not a living wage. Don't try to pretend it's a living wage. Your financial problems are not the corporation's problems. If you take an entry-level job and then wonder why you can't survive on it, that job was never intended to provide surviving wages. It was designed to give you pocket money so that you can take Susie Rottencrotch behind the Taco Bell bang it out for a few minutes and then go home to your parents' home. Not your home, to your parents' home. Because your $15 to $20 food job, remember, any person that touches food for a living, it's in the top 10 worst jobs in America. I've seen these lists for years, but if you're touching food for a living, it means you're probably never going to get married. And with that said, do I have a positive toxic I can't even talk because I've actually this is the fourth video that I've made this morning, so I'm just rolling them out so I don't have to work during the week on these. I always end up doing it. Like you guys saw Friday, I ended up posting all the extra videos that I had made this week because I don't want them to get too old because then they won't be relevant. So toxic positivity, that immense effort that I keep talking about. Every right wing conservative and libertarian that's out there will just tell you how you need to go out there and try to figure out how to live on the land, live off grid. But those answers, those solutions to problems don't really solve anything. They're in the same category as a person who's going to see you working at Kroger's and tell you to get a better job. It's a standard answer. That doesn't mean anything. It's just a cop out for rich people so they can tell poor people what they're doing wrong. And it's not real. It's like telling you to go to church and pray for Susie. You know, let's say you've been alone your whole life and you really could use some pink taco. So put on your best, you go to Sunday Mass and you pray your little parole hands off because you're tired of shaking hands with the governor like I do, morning, noon, and night, and every time in between. And suddenly she appears. She's not exactly what you thought you wanted, but your prayers have been answered. She's about 300 pounds. She's about 5 feet tall. Can't really tell if it's a man or a woman, but this is it. Again, the cursed monkey paw wish. And there's a neighbor who's not turning off their car alarm. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I got more to record, so I'm off to make another recording.